Hello. Hello. You there?
Hi. You might want to start again.
Yeah, I can cut that out. That's okay. Yeah. How you doing, both?
Good. How are we doing?
Yeah, not bad. I know you've just finished eating a mousse. So before we get into the serious stuff, what flavor was the mousse? Tell us a little bit about it.
Chocolate, of course.
Wonderful. Because it's the end of your day, start of mine.
It is. Yes, we're a global organization here.
So welcome to the end of May Jangle. It's a speed run through what the Biblio team building out the Realms project are working on at the moment in terms of game development. And we'll spend a little bit of time jangling about topics that the community are interested in. So we'll keep it speedy, look to get through this in 20, 30 minutes and do it quite regularly. So if you tuned in for the first Jangle, then welcome back to the second one. So I think that a nice place to start is just with a little bit of news. And so I will click through some bits and pieces that we've seen and that we like. First up is John Itzler has picked out Realms as one of his choices to include in your NFT portfolio.
Yeah, that's cool.
Delphi challenge.
Love John, great guy.
Great choice of NFT.
Great lord.
Yeah. So just something to keep an eye on to see how that collection goes on to do over time. But it was nice to be featured in that. And then I think that the immutable news sort of did the rounds this week. What are your thoughts, Loaf, on what immutable are up to?
I think it's great. I think it's there other people are going to copy this this model. I think this is like maybe not the end game, but this is the next path of scalability. Is these things called L3s. And currently, they're only really capable on, using Starks, which are obviously Starkware's invention currently, because they're like recursive on one another. So you can go layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, but they will ultimately settle back to layer 1. So you inherit the security of Ethereum, but you can get this super specific application layer L3 for running specialized whatnot. And immutable, I think they're a little while off. I mean, before this L3 reality exists, but I was very impressed with their announcement. It's definitely a step in the right direction. And I think their current platform is StarkX, which is very it's only really NFTs and tokens. It's no composable contracts. So they're hoping to onboard more games by allowing this connection of Starknet into their StarkX system.
Yeah, we were a couple of the team went to the immutable event at DevConnect, and they were in discussion. We're talking to some of the team there. Their next move is to create infrastructure for game developers to provide great gameplay experiences to players. So they have their eyes on this space. So I think it's interesting. They're kind of working, I guess, in parallel to the game teams and to what Realms are doing. And so we'll just be. I know that it caused a little bit of shockwaves across the internet. People were very excited about this tweet. So
yeah, it's a really great move, and they got a really interesting funding model as well. How they're planning on rolling out their token, which is interesting. It's have a read the whole blog post. It's really worth reading the whole thing.
Yeah, and then just sort of jumping around, just catching up with news. But the other thing that has taken the other conversation that's taken wings online is soulbound tokens, and we're going to come back to this because this is something that we as a project are really interested in exploring, and Loafer's kind of made a start on a kind of community initiative. So we'll revert back to that. But what's your temperature check on soulbound tokens, Loaf? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah. I actually had a quick chat with the ZK pad guys this morning around it, because they're thinking the same thing. So we thought we'd get together and just hash some things out.
Have a jangle.
Have a jangle, yeah. And it's interesting because this is the not new idea. It's not a new idea. I think the original EIP, the first EIP, it's like EIP 120 or something. Actually, they don't call them soulbound, they just call them non-transferable NFTs or something. So it's not a new idea, and it's interesting seeing people's reaction around them, because they're also not a binary thing. Like, people think, oh no, I got this thing that I can't get rid of. Like, well, sure, but they have use case still. You might not like that specific case, but I think that they're going to have a real interesting use case in games specifically, and probably like most things emerge from games and then transfer into other applications.
The game of life.
Yeah. But yeah, I can touch on that later.
Yeah, we'll
I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, the reading I did around it was paraphrasing the kind of the very long article about decentralized future that Vitalik was part of writing, and they're talking about the idea that you own certification, for example, from like your studies is in your wallet, and you can give access to it rather than having to, if you're going to an interview, the person who's interested in employing you having to go to that organization and check your credentials. You'd have control of all of that stuff. So obviously the application for gaming is kind of interesting. So we'll come back to that. And then there was some other news this week, which was about the CCO of the Realms.
Yeah. So all the 8,000 Realms, DHAM has, when he created these, extruded 3D models, he's got the height map and all the other components needed to recreate these in any type of, map maker. So you can now download these from the Atlas and import them into Unity or Unreal or, a voxel map or whatever thing that you can, make with height maps, and, basically recreate the realm in that space. And so these are all the same assets straight from the original, SVG, which has just been upscaled. So yeah, and so we're kind of doing this open project where we're importing into Unreal Engine 5 to see what they look like. That's what that little runaround was, because Unreal Engine 5 is like the cutting edge of shiny graphics right now. So we thought, why not? And it is open source, so if anyone is fancies themselves a graphic lord, or fool around in Unreal Engine, then jump into I think it's Unreal Engine 5 channel, project channel in the Discord, and there's some stuff in there, and you can get involved.
Yeah, and there are a few different project teams out there who are linking together, allowing the game engines to speak directly to StarkNet, or I say directly, through
the Redline
mechanic. Redline are doing it. There's a couple of other teams in who are in Matchbox who are also playing with it, but Redline have demonstrated it really, really well, and that's a really
I think it's still, you can read from the chain, which isn't obviously that's trivial, but I think it's still the connection out signing of stuff through Unreal Engine I haven't seen anyone do that yet. I think that's going to have to be a unique package made for that. So I don't know if you've come across that yet, but someone's going to make it for sure. It's just a matter of time.
So I guess these are if this is your skill set and you want to come along and play with this, please do join the Discord and come and join the Builders Chat or the Unreal Engine Chat. And it's wonderful to start to see the people picking up these assets and using them in entirely different ways. And just the start. Okay, so moving on now to kind of update on what has been built over the last 2 weeks since our last conversation. I've noticed that the GitHub channel has just been in a way. Yeah.
GitHub goes burr.
Yeah.
He took some screen grabs.
Yeah, this is the last. This is part of the last 3 days. Like this it's just an insane amount of.
Yeah, if you're
snooping
there's some interesting things going on. I mean, where Tanox is, working on the indexer, which is basically the cache for the game, which is a interesting kind of engineering thing in itself. Because the question with on-chain games is like, well, what do you cache and what do you call straight from the blockchain? And like, ideally, we call everything from the cache and only submit directly to the blockchain. Like that's the ideal scenario, because that will offer the fastest speed in the web client. Because a lot of the information is just, it doesn't change, so you don't need to read from the blockchain. So there's a lot of that going on, and then Milan is back from a little hiatus because he just had it. He just had a kid.
Mini Milan.
So he had a little mini Milan who's learning Cairo now. So excited to see what happens to him. And we're refining. This is the nature of software, especially kind of like this type of contracts and game design. It's like you write one thing and then you go back and do something else, and then you come back and you realize, well, I can make this bit better. And that's just iteration. And so we've realized that the current combat mechanics, which is a really quite good. I think we could really go into a straight video of just that once we kind of we're almost there, and we realized, well, we can actually make it. I think it's a 3 or 4x efficiency gain with this new with cost reduction with this new technique that we just did, which is quite cool. So and then there's obviously all the client stuff, which is like the UI that which is really coming together, because it kind of just connects up the indexer and the contracts. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on, and internally, the alpha testing has been running through the CLI, but at the moment, it's been hooked up to the actual interface to allow.
So that's exactly. So that's like the developer flow. It's like do it in the CLI, test it, and then connect it to the interface. And so we're just pushing at the moment to finalize the connections up from the indexer into the client and the blockchain.
I've seen it. It looks super cool, but we will there's a final layer of polish going on at the moment, but we'll do like a standalone video just running through
we could spend an hour going through that. So
but like, if you're interested in seeing what's happening, the GitHub discussions channel is a great place to sort of launch off from. You can also go and have a look around the GitHub itself. And this is a really top line. Just pulled this out of a deck that we've got going around, which is just some of the things that are being built. Do you want to just really briefly run over what these kind of like top line modules, if that's what you'd call them?
I mean, so we'll get the indexer, which is the cache. Then we've got the Atlas app and the component library, which is the the game interface in the web, which is it's using React. It's a lot of code in that repository now. It's getting chunky. Then there's the Squire bot, which is obviously just it's a Twitter and Discord bot. Then we've got but
it's bringing data from on-chain into Discord, which is
correct. So the Squire bot, the long-term, I mean, it's connected now, but it will be like all the game information at your fingertips. So you'll just be able to go, Squire, get me, my realm, information, or get me last time I was attacked or whatnot. So it'll be like your little personal Squire, basically. And we'll probably have it post battle reports every time a battle gets actioned on chain. That might go nuts, but that'll be fun. So it's basically the interface so the Discord will be alive from all the game actions. So you'll be able to see what's happening across the whole space without leaving Discord. So it'll be really fun. It'll be like, what's that? Some funny realms names like Come has rated Smart Mum for some Dragonhide, and that'll get posted to Discord. So that's cool. And then there's the 11:55 AMM, which is it's functioning now in the client, and it allows trading of the resources from lords. For resources to lords and vice versa. And so it's your market, the whole marketplace in the game.
Again, that is functional, but
it's actually really wired up to the client already, and I've been dropping some screenshots of it. So
and then
really stoked about that.
And then a few more items that it's just not going to show. Come on, there we go.
The NFT marketplace, that's kind of still in work, but the foundation's written for it, so it'll allow like a Genie swap style purchasing of assets, along with trading, and it'll be like a traditional marketplace, but it's going to be quite gamey, and it'll be a nice experience. We've written the contracts for that as well, but we're just waiting. That's kind of in the next milestone after the initial game. So, because and then obviously the settling of the Realms contracts, which is the entire game. That's the kind of beast contract. And then D-Siege, which is our mini game, which was kind of like, it initially started out as let's write something simpler than the main game to kind of pathfind our way through Starknet, because it is like, there's no one holding your hand writing on Starknet. There's no Stack Overflow. There's no one, like with most languages, you can just type into Google, like, my problem X, Y, and Z, and someone's had that same problem. Starknet, not so much. You have to go and hunt for it, or you have to figure it out. So we thought, well, let's make something simple and test all our processes out, which is what it succeeded in doing. And it will launch. It will launch soon. We just wanted to wait until Starknet was stable enough to do it, because we do want to have a reward system in there, which will also be a test for the soulbound tokens. We'll implement them into it. So, which you can explain maybe when we get to that part.
Okay, cool, lovely. So I think just the observation to make there is just there's a huge amount built.
There's a lot of code.
There's a lot of code. And it's not all coming from the one man who is on this call, the one loaf of bread that I'm chatting to. Talk to us a little bit about the depth of the team.
So we're all basically full stack developers. So we're all writing React, Solidity, and Cairo. We're kind of specializing in specific areas right now. So Tenox is on the indexer and the client, Redbeard's on the client and the kind of L1 contracts. Myself, I'm focusing on the kind of user interface design and the contracts. Then Abrax is on the bridge, and Unidef is on D-Siege and working on some client stuff too. And DHAM is working on the contract stuff, and client stuff and general problems to solve. So that's most of the dev team. We're doing a bunch of stuff. That is, we've got a highly diverse skill set. There's no problem too hard that we can't solve, basically.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think that that's joining the team. Amaro is joining as creative director. I know he's already kind of like got his head into this, and he and I have been talking from a kind of marketing concept perspective and how to start to. I think we're at the point now where we want to start to package up, as the gameplay experience is about to be revealed, start to package up more in terms of communications to take out to people, to start to build our audience of interested gamers. So that's a sort of super fun process that I'm involved with. So jumping on now to the community news. So the things that basically you can get involved in at the moment. So there's two things I want to talk about today. One is the soulbound.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, this is just some brain dump onto this page, so it's predictably good. But this was the chat I had with the ZK Ped guys this morning about it. And I guess, yeah, like they're really not like a complicated. I don't think they should be controversial, but I don't know. I guess they've become controversial. Like if you don't like them, just don't use them. But I think like it comes down to like what's the use case for these, right? And like that's the question you got to realize. It's like there's so much hype around this industry, and it's like, well, these things are cool, but what do you do with them? And what I want to do with them, and what we are going to do with them in the game is, if you can imagine, like a regular RPG type game like Dark Souls, or just I don't know what's another RPG game. You earn skill points, so you use your bow a lot, and your bow will you'll earn points by just playing the game, and then you can spend those skill points on like an upgrade, right? And so the Realms game itself is it's very economic focused, and it's about raiding and stealing all fungible stuff and like tradable stuff. But what I think would be a really nice addition would be there's raiding in the game, there's defending, there is trading, there's crafting, there'll be other things to do, and each one of these tasks I want to reward people for actually completing them, or like on a successful raid, for example, you accrue a point. And now this point is like, it could be a token, like a non-transferable token, or it could just be a counter on a contract somewhere. And once you've accrued enough points, so let's say you've raided 50 realms, you have the ability then to go and mint an SB, a soulbound token, or it might just get automatically sent to you once you hit 50. Still undecided, that mechanic. But then with that token, with that SB token, that's permanently a record on your account that you have completed 50 successful raids. Now you can't buy that; you have to do it. And then once you have that, well, that will potentially unlock a next level of, like, it might allow you to craft something special. I mean, there's a lot of different. I mean, basically, it becomes a non-transferable NFT at that point, and that's just like what you can do with any NFT, you can do with that. So I think that's a really interesting area, as it creates engagement and rewards players for actually playing the game, and its ultimate credibility that you've actually been successful in this game. You've raided people, you've raided 50 people, you've raided 400 people. It's a permanent record. And at the end of the day, we're just slightly more advanced chimpanzees, so we like competing with one another.
I think it opens up the whole world of gamification of just everything.
Yeah, so, it makes it a lot more fun, right? More competitive, more fun, and that's what that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a fun game, because I think we want to create a fun game and not just a farm.
So, you can imagine a world in which, and I think we've been talking about this, and again, you were tweeting this week about, everything that can be botted will be botted. I think leaning into sort of modding and bots and people who want to come along and add and build tools. And I think that if you have things like this, linked to wallets, then people can do really fun things with that, in terms of visualizing your war record, or your trading record, or whatever aspect of the game
exactly
like to inspect.
Yeah, and this is also like there's a really interesting interoperability point to this. Like, we're all talking about how do we interoperate between games, and like it is a bit of a challenge to, like, hard to interoperate at like a deep gameplay level, because there's balance issues and whatnot. You can interoperate at like a tradable level, meaning like, you can trade your tokens and get into the next game. But like with SB tokens, they're gates, or their access to things. So, for example, we could have this SB token that you need to get the 100 raids or something, and then you get this token. And the influence guys, they could do something similar, where it's like, you have to, I don't know, have conquer 100 asteroids, or trade, or finish their crafting tree or something, and then you get that token. And then if we use the same token standard, like what everyone's doing with NFTs and whatnot, then we can have that an interoperability at that level, because we can be in our game and be like, well, you need the raiding token and the crafting token in order to access this thing, which is interesting. I see. And so this is where it comes important to actually define a standard around these things. And like it's saying this is just like one potential use case for SPs. Like there's going to be lots. There might be some dumb ones, but this is a fun one.
Yeah, I think again we're just at the start of probably an explosion of ideas, and it's just nice to be in a position to start to be pioneering this stuff and thinking about it, because the game is at a stage where these kind of incremental additions, composability, all around rich gameplay experiences, which is what we're all about.
Exactly. Yeah, I think games are it's the perfect first use case for games. It gives you an online profile, and it gives you credibility, and it gives you an edge over other players, being like, look, I've done this. You can't buy this. You have to earn it, which is good, and it's all on chain, provable, and all that.
So this at the moment, this is quite technical leaning, but if you want to come along and just stick stickies over Vitalik with just ideas of things, it doesn't have to be technical. If you're not,
he wants your ideas. That's why he's giving thumbs up. Give him a sticky.
So come along and deface Vitalik with ideas of things you'd like to see from a gameplay experience, or like ideas from other games. We'd love to just kind of get a conversation going, and then that leads into something that was just started off as a kind of throwaway thought in the main chat, which was the community funding model via something akin to nouns and the way that nouns work. So I know this is something that you kind of are interested in, and perhaps started the conversation originally. Sort of talk us through why you like nouns and what you think it could potentially, how it could be harnessed for the benefit of the Realms ecosystem community.
I just think nouns is one of the most genius things to come out of this whole space in the last ever. Like it's up there with one of the best things, products, or I don't even know what you call it. I mean, it's just genius. The art's amazing. It's just a cool, simple, generative pixel bit of art, but they're quite cool. But the one a day model, like this slow inflation model, and slow governance model, is just a really it's just an amazing mini innovation. I mean, I guess it's a huge innovation, but a lot of innovation seems so simple, and it seems so simple. It's like it's just one a day, and you buy in, which is a ridiculous amount to buy in. Like it's what, 90 ETH. It's an absurd amount of money. There was a noun like 2 days ago with a crown on it, and I was going to put up a proposal to spend a lot of the treasury on it, but I thought no. That would be irresponsible. But we should get a little nouns though. But yeah, I think the funding model is really interesting. It's just a one a day, forever. It doesn't really cause much inflation. It gives we want to build more governance into this whole ecosystem. Like currently, it's only the realm lords that govern the whole DAO. But we do want more governance. So we got to figure out how we're going to do that. And one interesting way is to do a nouns model. Now, I'm not suggesting that we do it as like new realms, but they could be something else that could be released every day. I haven't really
There's been some ideas. There's been plenty of ideas that have gone through on the general chat already, and hence I think that it's probably something we'll probably want to do, like a separate community in conversation or initiative or brainstorm around. Commemorating historical battles was one idea that came from the community. I mean, there's lots of different things that could be done, but the point, I guess, is one of the interesting sort of observations about it is that Realms is community funded. There has been no external funding so far, and there's plenty of runway for continued development. And so, what do we do next? Like, do we look at further community funding like this, which could be a perpetual funding mechanism, or do we look at there's plenty of people who are interested in investing in blockchain games, and certainly plenty of people who have shown interest in investing in Biblio and Realms. So do we want to go down that route, or do we want to sort of try and look at mechanisms or a combination of the two, but mechanisms like this, which forever build the DAO, meaning that the ecosystem, the Realms universe, keeps growing and building, and new experiences and new games get added to it, and further value gets sort of shared through the community. So I think that this isn't something we want to unilaterally just say, this is what we're doing. I think it's create a forum for conversation. And
also to note on that is everyone should realize that they can submit their own snapshot ideas as well. It's not just constrained to the core lords who can vote. Anyone can put up a snapshot, and if it reaches quorum and it gets enough votes, then it can get actioned. So this could be something small, like unlocking some lords for a new project, or unlocking some ETH for a new project, or whatever. There is that option.
All right. Well, I think that's been a good jangle. We have covered, I think, topics completely different from last time around. We're still playing catch up. There's still so much to talk about that we're sort of rolling out in these conversations. I think that Squiddy is going to line up a Lords Round Table to have like a live conversation with the community, and subjects like the noun style funding model will be added to that agenda. But yeah, thank you, Loaf, for sharing.
Thanks for the jangle.
Thanks for jangle. Good jangle today.
That was a good jangle.
Good jangle indeed. And so, yeah, if you in the community drop any topics into the chat and just tag me, secretive, in there, to sort of add them onto this conversation, or to add them into the upcoming live call that we're organising. So yeah, have a lovely day, lovely couple of weeks, everybody, and speak to you in the community. See you soon.
Jian.